Don't cry or shout. What do you mean?
Shout. Okay. Now it's you.
Yeah, thank you. Hello to you all. Good evening, or whatever your time is.
Hello, Victor.
Hi. Nice to see you all. Yeah, I'm Victor Schiering from Germany. I'm 47 years old. I'm chairman of MOGiS e.V., and I would like to tell you a bit of the German debate about genital self-determination of the last years. The organization I speak for was founded 10 years ago as an association of victims of child sexual abuse. The main focus of this organization is to include the perspective of people affected in the political discussion. Because the problem there is often that people talk about people instead of with people. The board of MOGiS e.V. has always consisted of people of different genders. So we are not a man organization, neither an activist organization. But of course, these issues are part of us. In the year of 2012, on May 7th, the Cologne District Court named a non-therapeutic foreskin amputation on a boy as a punishable bodily injury. This judgment was a logical consequence of the right to non-violent upbringing that the German parliament had established in 2000. A fierce debate broke out immediately because many decision makers did not or could not face this logic. They reacted then logically. If current legislation treats all children equally and something like the Cologne ruling comes out of it, the legislation has to be changed. It has to be introduced an exception. That was the demand of the summer of 2012, which was supported by the majority of decision makers in politics and the media. In contrary of what has been mostly said till now, that Germany has debated a ban on circumcision. This is not true. That has never been taken place. What has been demanded was a law to legalize it. It is very important to correct these myths, and there are several of it. And now that's exactly how it came about. In the same law that promotes non-violence in children's upbringing, an exception has been set in extra section, where suddenly nothing of what was said before applies. It is so incredibly crazy that you can hardly believe it. If somebody wants to justify something non-logic and unjust to this topic that leads forcibly to sexism, the questioning of the constitution, the negation of medical facts, and a lack of empathy. Because everything is subordinated to the desired result. And the result was clear in Germany from July already, from the first time that the parliament had a very short discussion about it. So it was a very sad, humiliating debate. Those affected were exposed to a fire of humiliation, fired from high places and positions in society, in mass media, from university teachers. On the other hand, an alliance of a few organizations argued normally, with calm and empathy and based on facts. They opposed the high level of emotion with facts and moderation, trying to create comprehension. At the top of this list are the largest feminist organization in Europe, Terre des Femmes, Human Rights for Women, and the Professional Association of Pediatricians and the German Child Aid. Also, 100 members of the German parliament did not want to accept this erosion of the rule of human rights without being contradicted. In their own proposal, they showed themselves willing to compromise, recognizing current social realities and demanding a clear signal into the direction of child protection. Incidentally, it may be important to mention that there were no right-wing populists in Parliament in 2012. The political resistance to a special sexist law arose from the democratic center of society, primarily from the left and partly green side. Christian Democrats and liberals in government those times together had the fewest voices for children's rights. I have to correct one more important myth. After all, Germany has not allowed religious circumcision on boys, as has been misrepresented in the media a million times till now. This is the problem with manipulation. We all know very well. If something is repeated and repeated and repeated, it's finally considered true, even if it's not. Anyone who writes something about the German law has either never read the actual law and it's very short, or wants to reproduce it intentionally. Religion is not an issue at all in the main body part of the law. It is not a question of whether the act is religiously motivated. The only criterion, however, is the child must be male. And what is male? In a world that increasingly focuses on the continuum of the sexes, it is like a grip on the old days. Penis means male, and this person is defenseless, finished. This is German law since December 2012. It becomes clear, I think, which topics are involved when you go on such mistakes by law. At the time, a representative of our organization was actively prevented from speaking in the Committee of Legal Affairs. Then, as now, it was always about one thing: affected men are being made invisible. The German media mostly continued to act in this way, in which they annually ignore the rallies and statements of the Worldwide Day of Genital Autonomy in their reports. It would be an interesting topic for a media analysis. Why are most of them afraid of passing on information to people so that they can form their own opinions about whether or not they value WWDOGA's arguments? Why should no one learn that they are people who are suffering and that they are working in growing alliances? In Germany, there is often a huge fear of the topic. Men are afraid of it because they have never learned to perceive on own vulnerability. Oh, please help me. Male victims of abuse are believed less when they report abuse than non-male ones. This is a result of professional research, and many of our members know what I'm talking about. The same naturally also applies to other injuries, since the frame of the society is the same. And the fear is justified. I myself was humiliated by a Green Party spokesman at a public event when I confessed my story for the first time in July 2012. I never forget that. Another big fear is being suspected of anti-Semitism. All of the above-mentioned organizations and the parliament deputies on the side of children's rights have raised this question in 2012 and do so till now, and have always argued very carefully there. You can read it everywhere. The testimonials are visible. It's the same we need to do in many other human rights issues when cultural values and traditions are touched. Fears are important to be recognized, but should never dominate a human rights debate. They must be answered by dialogue and knowing each other, not by installing unconstitutional laws that intimidate people that have been lied to their whole lives and have been hurt in their intimate body parts when they were too weak to defend themselves. It might be important to know that Jewish circumcisions account for less than 1% of foreskin amputations in Germany. The largest group of people affected in this country are men who were circumcised as children because of questionable medical theories. There obviously is a strange obsession of adults with dealing with children's penises, also with the retractability of the foreskin in childhood. Why are adults so interested in this, even when there are no complaints at all? Where have they been inventing hundreds of justifications through human history to keep on putting their hands? We have a lot of questions to ask ourselves. We must pass these questions on to society. The society owes responses to the children, which in at least 400 cases annually in Germany alone have to be treated with complications in hospitals. It owes responses to men who are increasingly aware that something belonging to them has been taken away from them, a part of their most intimate, and then got craziest answers. My penis, part of an international politic. Yes, did everyone go crazy? And yes, of course, these questions may and must be asked out loud. I strongly oppose the demand that men, and only men, must always be cool and controlled, even when they're suffering from most intimate injuries. Because in many other very popular debates, men in particular are asked to seek access to their feelings. I agree, okay, let's go this way. But this path will hardly be limited to the approaches that taboos and other current strengths of society are currently comfortable with. I'm so sorry. Access to their own feelings is very important because it opens access to those who are actually affected, the children of today. That is what is the most important aim. We just need a little more honesty. The price for these fears I mentioned are not paid by the adults who prevent an open debate, but by all children who are born with a penis today. And as the worldwide discussion shows, by really all children, not only those with a penis, finally. Because after the terrible decision of the German Parliament on December 12th in 2012, children with penis lost the right to reach adulthood with the genitals they are born with. So what I really asked for the whole world to question is, who pays the price? Let this question lead us all. It's leading in the right direction if you get your attention to those who this topic really is about. I'm looking forward to your questions now. Thank you very much.